The number one tip to get that job is be yourself. So today we're going to do a little bit different because I am also shooting in a different setting, and the idea is just to come up with questions that can help you prepare when you're about to answer that question. If you ask guys questions about tell us your strengths and your weaknesses, what you do want to mention in your strength is firstly, what are you good at? Are you good at negotiations? Are you good at organizing? Are you good at putting a team together? Are you good at strategizing in the strategic space? Like, what is it that you're good at related to the job, not your strength, you as a person? You get me? Of course it's you and a person because it's linked, right? But try and also focus it around your job, something that the hiring manager wants to hear. Remember, in an interview, guys, you do want to get favor from the hiring manager. I know that HR wants you to obviously impress them. Of course, you should impress them, but ultimately you also want the hiring manager to, look at you and to make sure that they give you the job, right? So your strength, it needs to be along those lines. Your weaknesses, guys, please, I'm a weakness. I get impatient, or I'm not sure sometimes what to do. Admin bores me. People say wild things about your weaknesses. No, you want to mention weaknesses that speak to, improving your. That's also like a positive, right? And what do you mean by being positive? One of the things I usually think about as a weakness is I just can't stand disorder. It is a weakness. Some people, they can say you have an OCD, and that's probably not an OCD. But if you just can't stand a disorganized environment, you don't know where they're coming or going, it can be a weakness, but it's a positive, right? Because you also want to have an organized working style, working framework. You want to see where you're going. If you're operating in an environment that is just, you cannot understand what's going on, it can frustrate you, right? But that's a weakness because you like an orderly environment, Same weaknesses that, honestly speaking, improve the chances of you being in the company. If you say, I don't like admin, what are you expecting to get? Think about it, right? What are you expecting to get? If I'm not going to hire someone that doesn't like that don't like admin, of course I also don't like admin myself, but there's a way to phrase it in a way that it doesn't say that you're someone who's lazy. You get me, right? Okay, let's hold that thought. Another dreaded question: where do you see yourself in 5 years or 10 years? Guys, somehow, I don't know, people, when they answer this question, they're thinking big things, CFO, chief of procurement, CEO. No, we're not there. We understand you can be a chief of a department in 5 years. Listen, miracles happen, and I don't dispute miracles. I don't even fight or stand in the way of God and your angels. But realistically speaking, what can you achieve in 5 years? Speak along the lines of, empowering and growing your studies, right? Being in supply chain, you must have SIPs. You need to have SIPs. You need to have some form of NQF level 7 or 8. At least your studies must be along those lines. And what are you equipping yourself in the industry? If you're working for a specialized service sector, what is it that you're doing to show that, I am ready for this, So you need to be appearing as such, guys, so that, you show that you're investing in your studies, investing in your skills, investing in your experience. And then, of course, looking into internal growth, You don't have to mention a particular role. You can just say internal growth, and what that looks like, you have to see and how it plays it out. But one day, do you want to see yourself leading a team, managing, being in a strategic role where you can implement, you can improve processes, and you can run project on your own that tomorrow can have, your name to it. The number one tip to get that job is be yourself. Yes, simple rule, be yourself. Don't go there and speak bombastic English. Keep it simple, okay? Most people don't understand jargons and acronyms no one understands. Keep it simple. Say the acronyms in full, because we are all coming from the same sector and same industry. Simple and obvious as much as you think it is, it's not obvious after all. Someone said common sense is not common to everybody. So keep it simple, be yourself, and show confidence Listen, energy does not lie and energy is transferred. What energy are you transferring in an interview? If you are frantic and if you are not confident and you are self-doubting, all of those things, trust me, they do show in an interview, and that's one thing you do not want to do. Another example, guys, next set of question. If you're asked, tell me a time where you encountered a business challenge. Answering this question, you don't have to mention, business challenges that you could not resolve. You need to look into challenges that are, real on the ground, and what is it that you have done to mitigate, or that you have done, to solve the problem, right? For me, let's just think about a rational or practical example. Maybe as a buyer, you probably approved an order without a contract, right? And business was angry, or your manager was angry, and what did you do? Of course, you must put a contract in place. You need to improve your controls, and you realize this was an error, and this error now you won't do it again, because now you do figure that there's an impact of maverick spend, there's a serious legal risk attached to it, and therefore as a business challenge, I don't know, maybe there's probably an error, but there's so many challenges you can come up with that indicate what you have done in the process. The idea is not to sound like you're in a perfect environment, that you don't encounter any problems. That's not what you're saying, but what you're saying is, what is it that you have done in you resolving that error or that business challenge, right? Sometimes you find suppliers that don't deliver on time, and you have business and end users sitting here on your neck, and you're like, guys, what am I going to do? So what is it that you're going to do? You need to put SLAs in place. You need to manage supplier by performance. You need to put strict timelines, and monitor them every day. And that's the thing that you can say that you've done, right? You don't just come up with business challenges that it's like paradoxical science to just resolve. You get the flow. Another example that one can prepare for is, if you are asked, you're working in a warehouse and you run out of stock, what would you do? The first things that you must think about is production, business continuity. Meaning, in your processes, you probably don't have business continuity, or you do. So you need to go and check if you have any stock, right, that is left that you can look into pushing for production. Checking with your suppliers that they have rush orders, and what's the impact of having rush orders. And guys, these things you must negotiate right up front, so that you don't, you mitigate being in those situations. And that's what you must say in an interview, that, for one, not to have this type of problems, you need to include it in your contract and have closer relationship with your suppliers. Do you get me? So these are the things that you need to mention when you're dealing with this type of questions. Another example might be, what type of skill is needed for someone who is in supply chain or procurement. Obviously, customer service, customer number one, and negotiation, rational skills, communication, problem solving, strategic sourcing, and organizing skills. There's a number of them, right? But what one is looking into, keep it within the context of the role. I always say this, keep it within the context of the role and give examples. Don't overextend your answers without you being confident in your answers. Another dreaded question that people mostly don't know how to answer this is, how do you negotiate with suppliers? What is your negotiation strategy or model? It's quite funny, because you might think it's that easy, and the first thing that comes to people's mind is discounts. I talk about discounts. I call the supplier, please give us discounts. I look at my budget and I say, like, oh, this is our budget, can you give us discounts? Yes, there's nothing wrong with asking for discounts. That's one model, but that's like the obvious, man. Come on, tell us something outside of the box. And what the interview is looking for is testing your understanding on different approaches that you use with the negotiations, right? Firstly, when you negotiate with suppliers, you must check what your demand plan is, in terms of the business demand plan. What is your budget as well? And then after determining your budget, you're like, okay, Mr. Vendor, I want to negotiate with you either on price or on delivery or on payment terms, and also you must check is that supplier a strategic supplier? Is it a non-strategic supplier? Because your negotiation power then will change. It depends who has power at that particular time by virtue of spend. If it's a supplier that you are highly dependent on and you keep pushing for discounts and no one's going to give you a discount, of course you're going to fail. But the interview, what they're looking into is to see if you can work around the different scenarios, because there's no one blanket approach of negotiating. Watch my negotiation video for more and you'll see what I'm talking about. But in the interview, guys, bring in these variables, bring in the scenarios that can almost make the interviewer and the hiring manager aware that this one, we are still sack. Let's talk about one last thing, dealing with people questions, right? Dealing with conflict. How do you resolve conflict? What do you do when you're in a situation where you have a client that probably complains and your team complains about you? Those type of people related questions. Guys, we are people that work with people. We are all toxic in our own way, But what is important here, what the interviewer is looking for, is your emotional intelligence to solve a problem. That's what it is. Yes. What is the emotional application of solving an issue, and where do you put yourself in terms of team collaboration? Are you someone who goes for high performance team, but once you go for high performance team, then you forget the people behind? No. So how you then tackle these questions, guys, is firstly, you want to create a collaborative environment. You understand and you respect that we are a team. We are here to work and to produce results. It is a team effort. It's not an individual effort, and you must make that clear in an interview. So you then need to do a fishbone analysis. What has gone wrong? Who did what? Who said what? Try and find where the problem is, right? You go around the same mountain. If you don't discover what the problem is, because then you have same conflict tomorrow, right? So you want to then indicate to the interviewer that I want to find out what the issue is, where the problem was, and clarify the intention, clarify where you've gone wrong. And the most important thing as a tip is take accountability. Please, guys, I cannot say this even better than I'm saying it now. Accountability is one of the key things that people are looking for in the people sector, or in the people skills. That if you're accountable, you're not going to be doing, you said this, you said that, it's a blame game. You need to be accountable. When you show that accountability, I was wrong and this is how I'm going to fix it. And ultimately what you want to make sure you indicate is what is it that you are doing to fix the problem. But more than anything else, mention the clarification part. Clarify, don't accuse, don't point fingers, don't shift blame. Clarify, take ownership, accountability, and you get better results, because that's what you're all looking for. It's been such a pleasure doing this series. I hope that I have answered and helped some people in terms of preparing for interviews. I mean, these are just general and generic questions. If you do need my help, please do hit me up in my inbox, info@roigroup.co.za. I will put it right here. And we do have a WhatsApp line as well. Check it in my bio. Guys, I am one person that I believe in growth. I have interviewed so many people and I've seen the mistakes people do, but I don't want you to get stuck in that position. So come through if you need my help personally, one-on-one. I do coaching, I do mentorship, and it will be better even when you do it like that, right? And I didn't touch on presentations, I didn't touch on case studies, because that's also another set, which the things that you need to look into, but we'll probably do that another time. Let's not overextend this than what it is already. So yes, guys, enjoy your week. Let's if you do need help with one-on-one, please do come through to me. My email is info@roigroup.co.za, and I'll gladly be of assistance, especially for those who are going for third or fourth interview, where they need to do presentations, where they need to do case studies. I do understand it can get complex, but these are just basics and fundamentals. If you do need help, come through for mentorship and coaching. I'll certainly do it for you, which will be specifically curated for you, and so that you don't miss anything else. See you in the next video. Thank you so much, guys. Until next time. Mwah.